In 2026, bad vans don't lose money. Restricted vans do. And most buyers don't know the difference until it's too late. Right now, thousands of buyers are spending $40,000, $60,000, even $90,000 on camper vans they've researched for months. They've watched the videos, they've read the forums, they feel ready. And they're still making a $15,000 mistake before they even leave the lot. Not because they bought a bad van, because they bought the wrong platform. One that's quietly being phased out, banned from city centers, or hit with registration penalties they never saw coming. 2026 changed the game. And if you don't know what changed, you're not buying a camper van, you're buying a liability. In a few minutes, I'll show you the exact vans smart buyers are switching to right now, with used price ranges, the years to target, and the one platform that's quietly becoming the best value in this market. But first, you need to understand what you're buying into, because the vehicle decision is secondary. The jurisdiction decision comes first. Here's the rules smart buyers follow in 2026. Jurisdiction before vehicle. Most people pick the van first, then figure out where they'll park it. That's backwards. The buyers who keep their money map the bans first, then match the platform to survive them. Because bans don't just affect diesel vans in European city centers anymore. They're reaching campgrounds, national parks, coastal zones, and residential streets across the USA. And enforcement is accelerating faster than the market is priced in. Dealers already know which vans are becoming harder to sell. They just won't say it while you're signing. This is the legal landscape you're buying into, zone by zone. Zone 1. European Low Emission Zones, the most aggressive enforcement on Earth. If you're buying any camper van for European travel, this section alone is worth $20,000 to you. As of 2026, over 320 cities across Europe have active low emission zones. That number grew nearly 40% since 2022. Germany, France, Italy, Spain, the Netherlands, Belgium, all enforcing. And the thresholds are tightening, not stabilizing. Here's the number that should stop you cold. Euro 5 diesel. And here's where buyers are getting destroyed. A buyer in the UK paid £41,000 for a 2013 Sprinter conversion last year. Stunning interior, full solar, quality build. He drove it to Paris for his first trip. He got a fine on day 1, then another on day 2. The van he bought cannot legally enter central Paris during daytime hours. His insurance won't cover the penalties, and his resale dropped the moment Euro 5 restrictions became permanent because every informed buyer in Europe now knows what that engine code means. That van isn't losing value slowly, it's losing usable territory every year, and at some point, the territory it can legally access isn't worth the asking price. That's not a worst-case scenario. That's a Tuesday in 2026. Euro 5 diesel engines, covering almost every diesel camper van built between 2010 and 2015, are now banned from entering central Paris, central Madrid, and large sections of Amsterdam and Brussels during daytime hours. Fines run 150 to 375 euros per violation per day. The Mercedes Sprinter on a pre-2017 Euro 5 engine, banned in central Paris. The Fiat Ducato pre-2017, same situation in Madrid. The Volkswagen Crafter on Euro 5, Brussels daytime access, gone. This is the part most buyers find out after the purchase, not before. What smart buyers are doing instead. Euro 6 engines, 2017 and newer, are the current safe threshold across most Europe. A 2018 or newer Mercedes Sprinter 2.2 CDI, a 2019 Fiat Ducato 3.3 Multijet. These are the platforms clearing LEZ checks today. Used price range, $28,000 to $55,000 for clean, low-mileage examples. The Ford Transit in Europe 2.0 EcoBlue, 2019 and newer, also clears most LEZ standards and is sitting at better value than the Sprinter right now. $22,000 to $42,000 used. The market hasn't fully priced in how clean this platform runs on Euro 6. That window won't stay open. Biggest hidden cost? LEZ sticker fees and vehicle reclassification.
In Germany, if your van is registered as a commercial and one vehicle, but you're living in it full-time, municipalities are beginning to reclassify these for insurance and tax purposes. Budget 500 to 1,200 euros for legal compliance consultation if you're doing long-term European travel. Who should not buy Euro 5 diesel for Europe? Everyone. Doesn't matter how cheap it looks. The fine exposure, the campsite restrictions building behind LEZs, and the resale collapse make it a losing position from the moment you sign. And here's something nobody in this space is saying yet, but the smart money already knows. The 2828 warning buyers need to hear now. By 2028, Euro 6 won't be enough in several major European cities. Paris, Amsterdam, and Oslo are already publishing roadmaps toward Euro 6D temp thresholds and full zero-emission zones by 2030. The buyers entering this market today without accounting for that trajectory are setting up to repeat the exact same mistake, just with a newer van and a higher price tag. Smart buyers in 2026 are looking at one of two positions: Euro 6 diesel with a clear resale exit planned before 2029, or electric-capable platforms like the Mercedes e-Sprinter and Volkswagen e-Crafter, currently 45,000 to 78,000 used, expensive now, but the only platforms with guaranteed long-term urban access in Europe. That's a decision you need to make before you buy, not after. And if you think this is just a Europe problem, this is exactly where US buyers get blindsided. Zone 2. California and the Pacific Coast, the domino nobody sees. Here's what's happening in California right now. CARB, the California Air Resources Board, expanded enforcement in 2025 to include recreational vehicles above certain GWVR thresholds. We're now seeing campground restrictions at state parks that prohibit older diesel rigs from overnight stays in designated areas, not air quality alert days, structural restrictions tied to emission certification, baked into the campground operating permits. Oregon and Washington are following California's policy lead. That's the domino, and once California sets the standard, the rest of the West Coast doesn't debate it, they implement it. A buyer in Portland discovered this after purchasing a 2015 diesel Sprinter conversion. He planned to use it as his primary summer vehicle along the Oregon coast. 3 of his 6 target campgrounds now restrict his engine classification during peak season. He's not banned everywhere, but his accessible territory is shrinking, and the van is only 8 months old to him. That van isn't losing value slowly, it's losing usable territory every year. And this doesn't hit every buyer the same way. A weekend warrior running a Ford Transit gasoline build out of Denver is probably clear for the next 7 to 10 years, but a pre-2015 diesel Sprinter as a full-time West Coast rig, you're building on ground that gets smaller every legislative session. The smart buy for U.S. buyers in 2026, the Ford Transit High Roof 2020 to 2022 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 gasoline. This is the platform this channel returns to, and here's why it specifically holds in 2026. Gasoline exempts you from diesel-specific bans. It clears California campground restrictions. The 3.5-liter EcoBoost has a strong reliability track record on 2020 and newer examples. The early timing chain tensioner issue that affected pre-2019 models was resolved in production. And the used market right now is generating clean examples in the $28,000 to $38,000 range because the first wave of post-pandemic conversion buyers are exiting simultaneously. That's a supply spike in your favor. 18 months, maybe less, before the market closes that gap. Routine maintenance on a well-kept Transit, $800 to $1,400 per year. Budget a transmission service around 100,000 miles, 400 to 700 for that specifically. Known cost, manageable cost. Biggest hidden cost? Cargo van to RV reclassification. Converting a cargo van and registering it as an RV, which unlocks certain campground reservations and insurance products, requires a formal state inspection. That process costs $600 to $2,200 and varies massively. Texas is cheap and fast. California is expensive and slow. Know your state before you finalize any budget.
Who should not buy the Ford Transit? Anyone towing above 5,500 pounds regularly. The Transit isn't built for heavy towing loads. The Ram ProMaster or a purpose-built Class B motorhome chassis handles that use case better, and at lower long-term cost. Stay with this. The next zone is the one that hits retirees and families hardest, and it's the quietest of the three. Zone 3, Coastal Zones and National Parks, the stealth restriction. This one doesn't make headlines, it just shows up when you arrive. In 2024 and 2025, the National Park Service tightened vehicle size, idling, and emissions restrictions at several high-traffic parks, Grand Teton, Acadia, Zion among them. Some restrictions are seasonal, others are becoming structural. Several campsite categories now enforce maximum vehicle dimensions that eliminate high-roof extended wheelbase vans from specific spots entirely. More impactful, overnight vehicle dwelling ordinances are spreading across coastal cities at speed. Portland passed expanded restrictions in 2025. San Francisco has had rolling enforcement for years. Sedona, Arizona, with one of the largest van life communities in the country, is in active legislative debate right now. Multiple coastal towns across California, Oregon, Massachusetts, and Florida have passed or are building ordinances that restrict overnight sleeping in vehicles on public streets and parking lots. One couple, retired, full-time van lifers, mapped out a 6-month Pacific Coast route. When they checked enforcement status 3 weeks before departure, 4 of their planned overnight street locations had passed new ordinances in the previous 8 months. They hadn't bought a bad van, they hadn't done bad research, they just hadn't mapped the legal layer before they mapped the route. Van life isn't dying, but it is becoming a planning discipline, not a lifestyle improvisation. The buyers who treat parking as an afterthought are the ones getting $300 fines at 2 a.m. in towns they believed were welcoming. Smart buyers build their legal parking infrastructure before they buy the vehicle. Know your state's dwelling laws. Map your 5 to 10 go-to overnight strategies, established campgrounds, harvest hosts, boondockers welcome, private land. This is infrastructure. It's as important as your electrical system and more important than your kitchen build. Expert buying tips. Here's what separates the buyers who keep their money from the ones funding everyone else's education. Mileage limits. Sprinter, 150,000 miles is not a red flag if service records are complete and the high-pressure fuel pump has been documented. Ford Transit, 130,000 miles with confirmed timing chain service. Above those thresholds without records, the price difference doesn't cover the risk exposure. Walk. Engine types to avoid in 2026. Euro 5 diesel for Europe, fully covered. For the US, the 3.0-liter V6 diesel Sprinter sold before 2018. Strong engine, but parts costs run 30 to 40% above the 4-cylinder 2.1-liter. Purchase price savings disappear by year 2. Years to target. Ford Transit, 2020 to 2022. Mercedes Sprinter, 2018 to 2021. Fiat Ducato, Citroën Relay for Europe, 2019 to 2022. VW California, 2020 to 2023, but prepare for 45,000 to 75,000 euros used. Demand on that platform is structural, it's not softening. Pre-budget your known repair costs. Sprinter front suspension refresh, $1,800 to $3,200. Transit heater core, $900 to $1,400. Ducato gearbox service, €600 to €1,100. These are not surprises, they're scheduled realities on high-mileage examples. If the seller hasn't completed them and the price doesn't reflect it, that's your negotiation anchor. Use it. Buyer mistake warning. This is the mistake I see weekly. It costs buyers between $10,000 and $20,000 every time, and it's completely avoidable. Buying a pre-converted camper van without a mechanical inspection on the base vehicle, not the conversion, the chassis underneath it. Here's exactly what happens. A buyer finds a beautiful build, cedar walls, 400-watt solar, custom cabinetry, clean photos. They bring in a conversion inspector. Some companies market this specifically, and it comes back fine. The build is solid. What nobody looked at, the platform under all that wood. A Sprinter with a failing high-pressure fuel pump runs fine for a 30-minute test drive. Then it strands you 400 miles from the nearest qualified dealer with a $4,500 repair bill and a ruined trip. A Transit with a cracked intercooler gives zero warning at idle.
Take it up a mountain grade at elevation, and it becomes a roadside emergency. Dealers already know which platforms have deferred maintenance buried under premium conversions. They just won't say it while you're signing. The incentive structure doesn't protect you here. Only an independent inspection does. A pre-purchase mechanical inspection by a chassis-specific mechanic, not a general shop, not the conversion builder, costs $250 to $450. That inspection has saved buyers $12,000, $16,000, $22,000. It is the single highest ROI action in this entire purchase process, and it's the most commonly skipped one. If the seller won't allow an independent inspection, you already have your answer. This is where amateurs lose money. Every time. Here's what the 2026 campervan market actually looks like from the outside in. The bans are real, the restrictions are real, they are multiplying, not stabilizing, and by 2028, the buyers who entered this market without understanding the regulatory direction will be selling at a discount to the buyers who did. The gap between those two groups is not budget, it's sequence. Jurisdiction before vehicle. Euro 6 or newer for Europe, with a resale exit planned by 2029. Gasoline or post-2020 diesel for the US West Coast. Independent mechanical inspection on every pre-conversion purchase, no exceptions. These aren't opinions, they're the rules the market is already enforcing on buyers who don't know them. In 2026, bad vans don't lose money, restricted vans do, and most buyers don't know the difference until it's too late. Buy the platform, not the conversion. Know the rules before you sign anything. If you're now comparing platforms head-to-head, Sprinter versus Transit versus Ducato, depreciation curves, real ownership costs by year, and exactly which model years to buy in each market, that's the next video. Built for buyers who are 30 to 90 days from a decision. Watch it before you talk to a single dealer.